Hey everybody, this is Ori from Circuit, and I'm going to walk you through a beginner's guide to Google Analytics. Now, this guide is going to walk you through the kind of more popular, more important things. It's not a complete analytics guide, but it will help you start working with it, understanding what's going on. And if you have any questions, you can always comment on the video and ask, and we'll be happy to help. Okay, great. So what is Google Analytics? Google Analytics is a free tool by Google which it allows you to understand more data about the visitors on your website. So what you basically do is you go and you sign up with Google Analytics and you put a tracking code or additional code on your website on every single page of your website. And once you do that, then every single time a visitor comes to your website to any of the pages, a lot of the information on the visit will be there. And so a lot of the data includes where they're located, which page they're visiting, their browser, their screen resolution, what they're doing, what they're clicking on, and how they're actually going through page by page, when they're leaving, things like that. Okay, so we'll get into the specifics right now, but basically any website that wants to understand what visitors are doing on their website need to have something like Google Analytics. Okay, great. So I'll take an example of one of our sites right here, and this is basically the audience tab. Okay, so when you actually go and after you install a Google Analytics code and you verify a website, which that'll be a different video, we can explain how to install, you'll actually start receiving data. And I want to kind of walk you through a little bit, a few elements before we go into specifics. Okay, so at the top of the navigation, you'll be able to see which website you're actually viewing, which data. You'll be able to see some alerts, and of course, this is your Google account information. Now, every single page on the left, all of the different trackings about your audience or about the traffic sources or what their behavior is, everything on the left, which we'll go into kind of one by one, or at least most of them, is the data is actually controlled first of all by a time frame. So once you go to a specific page, for example, let's say we just want to go to understanding the language that our customers are actually, or our visitors are actually using, we're going to have to first ensure that the data we want to view is based on the time frame. So by default, it's always the last 30 days, but you can change that yesterday, today, or you can go in any time frame that you would like. Okay, I can go a year backwards, I can go 1 day, I can go etc. Now, one of the first things you actually see, depending on which page you are on the left, is you actually see a quick graph, and this graph will help you visualize based on the time frame what's actually going on. So if I'm right now on the language page, I'll basically see a quick graph. I'll basically see all of the rows on all of the languages that my visitors are coming. Okay, and then here I'll be able to basically see a breakdown based on day, week, or month. Okay, here I'll be able to change the type of graphs that I can see, but the default will stay here for now. Okay, great. So now I can see, for example, that based on language, I have a total in the last 30 days, a total of 46,000 visits. And my most popular one is actually Chinese, Taiwan, traditional Chinese, for this example we're using, and then which is 90% of my visitors, and then English, US, 5% of my visitors, which are 2,500 visits, etc. Okay, now you're going to get familiar with how the graph works for visualizing data on every page, and actually how the specific rows work. So by default, every single page you click on the left will have specific default columns. And these are, in many cases, basically the same for many of the views, but not all of them. Okay, so here you'll be able to see the language, and then you'll be able to see sessions, new sessions, new years, etc. So I want to just give you a few small details about some of these. Okay, so sessions. What are sessions? Sessions are basically visits to the website that have a continuous visit time of 30 minutes, okay? So what that basically means is if a user goes to the website and they visit and they go to the home page and then they continue on to the About Us page, to the contact page, once they stop moving around on the website or they exit and they have not been back to the website for 30 minutes, so they've been inactive for 30 minutes, the session will stop. So one visitor coming to the website, visiting around, and then leaving and not coming back for at least 30 minutes is considered one session. Now, if sessions are not actual users, because if a session has expired and then later on, let's say tomorrow, the same visitor comes again, they'll be marked as another session. Okay, so don't confuse actual users with sessions. Okay, so think about it more as almost a visit for a specific time frame, and once a visit has stopped for at least 30 minutes, then the session will expire. Okay. Next one is the percentage of new sessions. Okay, so what are the percentage of new sessions versus returning sessions? Okay, new users. Okay, how many users, again, different from sessions, are basically new? So first time users. If a user comes and then they come back again, let's say a few hours later or a week later, they're not considered a new user, they're considered a return user. Okay, bounce rate. This is a very important. Now, any place that has a question mark, you can also hover to understand better. Okay, what is a bounce rate? Bounce rate is basically the number, or in this case, the percentage of users that entered the website and immediately left without doing any other action. So they did not move on to another page. They entered, let's say they entered the home page and then they immediately left. They bounced off. Okay, they came in and they bounced out. Okay, if they filled out a form, if they visited another page, maybe from the home page they went to the contact page or they viewed a product, then the bounce rate for that specific person would be 0. They did not bounce. They bounce out, it would be 100. So basically in this case, from the total, or based on a specific language, for example, let's say Russian, the total is 4% bounce. So out of 100 visits to the website, 4% of them only visited one page and then left. Okay, in the case of, let's say, English, 7.5% of the people left. Okay, what is the average based on every specific row or the total of this view? What is the average page per session? Okay, so when they visited, how many pages on average did they visit? So on average, a user or a visit came for more than 6 pages visit. So they went to the home page, then they viewed the about page, they went to a product, they continued on, they read another article, and then they left on average. Okay, now averages are important to understand because the bigger the data is, the more averages are a good point, but they're not the best point. You want to always use segments and drill and specifics so you can understand specific types of groups of visitors better. So averages are good, but maybe certain visits, for example, Russian visits only visit one page per session, whereas US English users use 6, so, or visit 6 on average. So you want to actually look into averages plus look into very specific segments. Okay, what is their average session duration? How long do they stay on the site? Okay, right here. Next one is, these are goals. I'm going to actually put this for a little bit later, but basically, in addition to tracking what your users are doing on the website, you can also set up defined goals and conversions that will actually give you more information about specific actions that you want your customers, your visitors to do on the website, and actually track that better. So has a specific element contributed to a specific goal? And a goal in many cases is playing a video, signing up for an account, purchasing a product, and many other things. Okay, so you will be able to define what your goals are. Okay, great. So let's show you a little bit about the administration, and then we'll go into the specifics right here. Okay, so admin. When you actually sign up for an account, you're going to have 3 parts to every single account. One is the account name, the second is the property, and the third is the view. Basically, for logical reasons, for your own organization, you're going to need to define if you want to set up accounts, properties, and views. So if you just have one website with one language, with just a very simple thing, you would just have one account. Inside of the account, there would be one property, and inside there'd be one view. Basically, what that means is if you have more complicated websites, you may want, let's say, for example, you have a multinational company. So if you have a US website and a Canada website and a UK website and et cetera, you'll probably want to have one account for the business and then multiple properties for every single country, for example. And then views are kind of a more or sub views of a specific website, a specific property. So for example, maybe I might want to filter out my data based on my US website in different ways. So maybe I want to only filter out in one view, I'd want to filter, let's say, only blog relevant content, only specific things, okay? So views will really help you do kind of more information. But if you do create multiple views, you always want to have a non-filtered view, which has all the data, and then in addition, you can create new views on top of that, okay? So for example, we created in this example a way to filter out spammy robots, spammy bots, spammy visits outside of the entire data. So sometimes there's some spam that comes in, so you want to actually be able to filter that. So we did not touch the unfiltered view, and we added another one to be able to see more accurate data. And the more accurate data you have, the better you'll be able to understand your visitors and improve your website, your conversions, your business goals. Okay, great. So some of the things I want to explain here. So number one is you'll be able to actually assign to an account, a property, or a specific view users. So if you have multiple Google accounts, maybe the administrator has a login and maybe some marketing team has, you'll be able to allow certain actions for your account, okay? So for example, I can set up a limited view for maybe this account or this property, and I can set up an entire management, etc. Okay, next one. Okay, tracking info. On the video, which we'll create in the future for how to install, every single page you're going to have to actually install this code. Okay, so you're going to follow the instructions and install it. As long as you put it on all pages of your website, your users will be able to be tracked. You'll be able to get more information about your users. Okay. Next, another thing that's very important, which we'll create in other videos, is you can actually link Google Analytics data to other Google programs or other Google tools or services, excuse me. So if you run an ad campaign using AdWords, you're going to want to link your analytics data to AdWords. Okay. If you have ads using Google AdSense, you're going to want to link that data. Okay. And also, you're going to want to link what we call the Search Console, the Webmaster Tools. So the service that provides, the Google service that provides data about your website. And the more you link between these other Google accounts, the more data can be shared and the more accurate data you're receiving and you're able to analyze. Okay, perfect. So this is very, very important to do that, and we'll create videos for that as well. Okay, next one. Okay, so goals. Okay, so what we mentioned before is you want to also add, in addition, to your regular data that's gathered by Google Analytics code, you're going to want to set up most likely additional goals to define specific things that Google cannot understand what is happening. So for example, if someone goes to a contact form, you may want to create a goal called leads. Okay? And basically, what you're going to want to do is go to set up a new goal, figure out how do you define an actual conversion. So in this example, a conversion would be when someone fills out a form successfully, not by error, but successfully, they fill out their name and email, etc., and they become a lead, then let's set up a goal and let's define that, okay? And by doing that, you'll be able to tie in any of the metrics that Google Analytics provides to the goal. So you'll be able to understand what is the characteristic, what is the specific audience that is actually leading to a goal. And if you understand that better, you'll be able to push more marketing resources and more of the website efforts to actually achieve more goals. So for example, let's say we set up a goal for the contact form. Anyone who submits a contact form successfully and complete, they will be called a contact form goal. So if you know that, you'll be able to figure out later on that maybe mobile users are not creating goals, only desktop are. And then based on that, you can figure out, oh, maybe my form is too complicated for mobile users, or I have a bug, or I have a problem, and we'll show some more examples there. Okay, great. Next one. Okay, so filters. Okay, filters is also something very important in order to filter your data. So for example, a very common thing you want to do is filter out traffic from your own business IP. Okay, so what that basically means is the more data you gather, the more decisions you can make. But if you're changing the data and you're including your own data, for example, inside, so every time you visit the website, the data also gets gathered from yourself, that may misrepresent what you think your users are doing. Okay, so what you can basically do is add a filter based on all of these elements, and maybe say something like remove my IP, okay, or my office IP. And then you can use the filter to exclude maybe traffic from a specific IP, which would be, you know, whatever it is. This is my IP, okay, and then you would save. So filters include many different things. So for example, host name, or I can exclude a specific visit on a specific page, or a specific referral, and many other things which you'll understand some of the details in other pages, okay? Maybe a specific campaign or others. Okay, perfect. Okay, let's go back. Okay, next one is e-commerce settings. This is kind of important. So if you have an e-commerce website, you're going to want to, in addition to goals, set up e-commerce tracking. So how do you do that? You're going to basically turn it on, go to the next step, and basically proceed forward. Now, once you turn on e-commerce settings, you're going to notify analytics that you want to track e-commerce conversions. And Google will still, once you turn it on, it knows that you will want to feed in e-commerce data. But in order to actually feed the information, you're going to need to add a little bit extra coding to your order successful page. And what you're basically going to be doing, which we'll create videos to show you how to do that, is you're going to want on the successful page to input additional JavaScript code to specify the order information, the order number, the total amount, the products ordered, and then later on you'll be able to see some of that data. It's a very powerful tool. It's pretty easy to set up, and it gives you much more data about the specific purchases and what led to purchases, etc., what's in common with purchases. Okay, so these are some of the kind of more popular things. There's a lot more, and please feel free to ask a little bit of questions or any questions you have in the comments, and we'll be happy to create specific videos about session settings, things like that. Okay, great. So let's actually go into the actual reporting. Let's start looking at some of the tabs on the left. Okay. Okay, so one more thing before we do that. You'll be able to see many other small links and buttons on the top, below, etc. So I wanted to show you a few more things. So number one is on many of the pages you'll have this icon here, which will actually give you some tutorials about the specific page you're on. So in addition to asking us questions, please feel free to actually go and read Google documentations and just click here and view some of the videos and the text. Okay, great. Another thing is many pages you can actually export the specific data you're viewing right here on this page into the formats here, CSV or Google Drive or a PDF, etc. You just click on it and it downloads for you. Okay, you can set up simple dashboard reports when you actually log in and you go to the dashboard, and you can also set up email. So you can email the specific data of the page you're viewing right now, and you can actually send it on a regular basis, either a once basis by email or maybe on a weekly basis, and you can set this up. So what you'll basically do is specify the email you want to send, what is the subject line of the email, what type of data attachment, how do you want to receive the data, and then how frequent and which day of the week do you want to actually receive that information, okay? So then the last thing you can actually do is set up how long you want it to repeat. If you've set up a frequency that's not once, you can set up how active you want it to be. So if, for example, on a weekly basis, every week it would send you this report until you either delete it or the 6 months expires or the 3 months, etc. Okay, perfect. Next thing right here, in the graph, you'll be able to see some kind of data point. So based on day, based on the time frame, here is the data points. If I hover, I'll be able to see data. On Monday, June the 20th, I had 1,800 visits, etc., etc. Now, in this case, you can notice that this is an actual weekend, Saturday, Sunday. So for this business, this website, weekends are actually much less traffic, and this is actually normal, but you want to be able to pay attention to these kind of things. Okay? Here are the page views, some summary on this page. Now, in addition, you'll also be able to create segments. So by default, every single page on the left you click on, excuse me, will show 100% of your users. But if you want to filter, or more correctly, segment your users, you can click on segment, and you can actually either create new specific segments or find some segments that are set by default in Google Analytics. So for example, maybe you want to see only the visitors in this specific page that are, actually mobile only. Okay, so if I do that, I'm going to click on apply, and I'll be able to see now that I have both all my users, which is right here, and I have the representation of the mobile only right here. Okay, and so now it's duplicated the data twice. Okay, and you can see here, here's the all users for session, here's the mobile session for etc. So it's basically provided a second row for each data point, okay, a second graph, all users, etc. You can add up to 4 at once, but you can also remove and say, hey, I just want to show only mobile segments, okay? You can always go back, okay? Let's go here and remove. Perfect. Okay, so let's see what else we can find. Okay, so if you're on a specific page, for example, this page, you'll be able to see by default 10 rows if they exist. If there's less, of course, it'll show less. But if there are more, you're going to be able to see how many there are. And you can actually either go to next page and next page, or you can actually add more rows on the specific page. So if I have 41, I'm just going to select 50, and this page will showcase everything right here. Okay, perfect. Okay, so another thing is, for every graph and every data point, you also have sub-tabs right here, which will show you either a summary of your data, or they'll go based on the goals you've set up maybe, or site usage. So they all show a little bit different data points, different columns right here. So this shows more information about your goals. This shows more information about the site usage, okay, the sessions, the page, how I actually use and browse on the page. And the summary is the kind of most common things, the default data. Okay, so it kind of has a mix between both basically, right? So visits, bounce rates, and conversions. If you have multiple conversions, you can either click on all goals to see a summary, or you can click on a specific one. Okay. Another thing which you can do is use the search box to actually filter based on the rows right here. So the filter or the search is always going to use this default big column. So if I want to filter by language, I can say I want to only see ENUS. So if I go here and type it in, hit enter, I will be able to only see this row. So the graph will only represent the row, and only, of course, this row. Okay, I can delete that here. If you want to do more advanced searches, you can actually do that, but I think we'll talk about that a little bit in other videos, okay? So there's basically include, exclude, and some more detail you can do that, okay? Perfect. So these are kind of the important things. The last thing I think is very important to understand is what we call the secondary dimension. So every page uses this metric, the big column, depending on which page you are, to actually show the data, okay? To show all of these rest of the columns and here, right, the graph. So what you can do, which is very, very useful, is you can add another one. So one more. This is the primary dimension that all the data, all of these points are going to show based on these rows. And you can also add another one. So let's say, for example, I want to see my primary language information on my visits within the last 30 days. With also, I want to see, let's say, let's go here. Let's find that. So I can either use the specific ones, click here, or I can actually search for something. So let's just say I want to show mobile. Okay. So let's click here. So now you notice that there's a secondary large column. So now I can see my language split into two, right? Chinese traditional has the data of users that are using Chinese traditional that are not using mobile, which is this data, a mobile phone, and users that are using Chinese traditional and are visiting your website by mobile phone. So instead of having an average, what we had before, which is this is my, for example, bounce rate on users that are using, that have this language, now I can split that data into a secondary dimension and understand better the specifics of that segment or that type of visitor. Okay, so let's go back to that. So for example, I can see that, for example, users that are not using a mobile phone actually have a higher bounce rate. Now this is a very small difference, but you can kind of see that they spend more time on the website and they have different conversions, etc. So by using a secondary dimension, which we use a lot, you'll be able to understand better the specifics of the primary dimension. Okay, so now that we went over this overview, actually I want to do one more thing, excuse me. You can also, anytime a primary dimension, a primary column actually has a link, you can click on it to actually drill down even more if available. Okay, so by doing that, I actually selected that specific one and I filtered out all of the other ones. Okay, so now I'm only seeing this row. So you could have achieved that via the search, or you could have achieved that via the click. But in some cases, for example, let's see, this location, some things can actually drill down to more detail. So for example, if I wanted to see where my visitors are coming from, 87% are coming from Taiwan, 1% is coming from US. So if I actually click on, let's say, US, it's actually going to drill down right here by region. I can filter by city, by region. I can select what the primary dimension, this is primary. So now that I know I have 509 visits in the last month from US, now I can see by state and I can drill down more. If I click on state, then, right, so you can see what I've clicked on, all, and then I clicked on US, and you can actually close this and go back. Now I can see by city, okay, etc. So if I click on that, now I can see only this specific filter. So you can see how you can add multiple dimensions and drill down to see more detail, okay? This is really helpful for understanding your data more and more. So again, averages are good for quick ideas, for quick visualization, but drilling down to specifics will help you understand the positive things about your website, about your visitors, how to help them, how to improve your website, how to improve your marketing details, and also how to find specific errors. Okay, perfect. So let's actually finally start to go to some of the important pages on the left. Okay, so number one, intelligence events. Okay, see some kind of error right here. See what happened. So let's see, click on this again. There's some kind of error on analytics side. Okay, so we're going to skip this for now. Basically, intelligence events are automatic events that Google Analytics will find changes in your regular habits on the website to showcase you if there's been a huge jump in some kind of goal or visit or something, or a huge decline, and it'll actually try to automate some kind of interesting data points to show you how things have changed. Okay, next one, real time. This is a tab that shows real-time traffic, and this is the real-time overview or dashboard. So you'll be able to see every single time you see a line here, it's actually a visit on the website. So right now we have 4 active users on the website. And you can see a summary of which pages are visiting right now, what's the quantity, the active users, and actually where they're coming from. The referrals they're coming from Google, or they're coming from Facebook, or they're coming from Instagram, etc., etc. Okay, so let's look at some of the specifics. Locations. Based on the real-time visitors, I have currently 4 in Taiwan and 1 from Hong Kong. Okay, and you can see a quick map with some detail right here. Okay, here's Taiwan right here. Perfect. So you can also filter on some of the things right here. So this is actually, excuse me. Next one, traffic sources. Where are people entering our website from? So in this case, they all came from Google Organic. They all went to google.com, google.com TW, etc. They typed in some kind of keyword that mentioned our website. They clicked on it and they got to our website. Okay, perfect. If I click on any of the links that are in any of the rows right here, it'll actually create what you call a filter. And then if I stay here and I actually go to locations, I can filter someone coming from Google and see only the locations that people came from Google. So for example, if I only want to see Taiwan visitors, let's remove organic. Now I can see all the traffic sources or all the content, right? All the pages that people are visiting based on my filter right here. Let's close it. Now I have 6 people in total. Okay, so now I can see all of the pages that people visit. There's 2 people on this page right here. There's 1 person on this page. There's 1 user on this page. Okay, and you can see the kind of last page views based on the last 30 minutes. Okay, here's the last person to visit. Okay, next. Events. If you've triggered specific goals and events, okay, so events is something we'll talk about a little bit later, but they're basically programmatic ways to trigger some kind of similar to a goal, but some kind of event that happens. Maybe goals are typically bigger events and events are typically smaller, but you'll understand it a little bit better later on. Okay, so an event might be playing of a video, event might be filling out a form, event might be scrolling downwards or sharing an article on social networks, things like that. A goal typically is something very much bigger, but this depends on what you're trying to do on the website. Okay, so in this case, we have an event which we've triggered or our code has mentioned, which is a social event, maybe the triggering of a window that asks to subscribe to our Facebook page, something like that in this case. Okay, conversions. These are the goals. These are the e-commerce conversions and the actual goals that we've set up in the admin, if you remember. So right now, no one is triggering in real time any goals, right? They have before, but right here, I'm going to click on goals, but now there's no one triggering that. No one is triggering my goals as of this second. Okay, so that's real time. Audience. So again, the same kind of data. So what an audience? Audience typically shows information about your active users, your demographics, the age, the gender, etc. So let's go over a few of the popular ones. Okay, demographics. Based on Google Analytics, the people are visiting your website, and Google internal data, so things like if someone actually has a Gmail account or Google Apps account or Google Plus or things like that, Google will be able to explain to you your visitors and what ages and what gender they're actually visiting. So now you can know how to adjust your marketing efforts. So let's look at age. Okay, based on our time frame, we can see that the age group, you can see right here, is 50% is actually between the age of 25 to 34, right? And then et cetera, et cetera. So you can understand who is filling out your forms the most, who is triggering your events, who is visiting the most. And you always want to add secondary dimensions here. So maybe I can see, let's go to gender. Okay, And let's actually see that it's pretty even, male and female actually. So it's kind of interesting. So let's look at the female only. Let's click and filter. And I can see right here the graph of female visits. And I can see because I filtered it, now I can see the female gender, which is triggered and filtered. And I can see the ages. So I can see that this may differentiate between male visits, for example. And of course, I can add more dimensions and other things. Okay. I can also switch the primary dimension. I don't have to use age. I can actually switch it to, let's say, for example, browser. So what browsers, what actual browsers, like I'm using a Chrome, what browsers are females that are visiting my website using? Okay. What maybe, screen, let's see what we can find here. Okay, where are females typically surfing from? And the more I know about it, about my visitors, the more I can make my decisions, my business decisions based on. Okay, so this is demographics. Interest. Again, Google will understand based on their internal data, their internal accounts, what are your users interested in? So a lot of them are techie and they're movie lovers, etc. You can see some of this data that will help you understand more about your customers, so you know how to market to them better, you know how to talk to them, you know how to write the content on your website better. Okay, next one, geo. You'll be able to see what is their browser, what is their operating system language, what is their preferred language. Maybe a lot of people are visiting, for example, the default language English is visiting. Is our website in English? Is our website enough for is it written more for US English than UK, right? Because there's so many more American English browsers coming rather than UK, for example, right? Next one is location, which we showed before. So where are people visiting my website? You can see here, you can hover over and see that Russia, there's 251 visits, etc. And you can drill down as we mentioned before. Okay, next one, behavior. What is the percentage excuse me, of visitors, of new visitors versus returning visitors? So you know how well are your customers engaged? Are they interested to come back later on? Are return visitors converting better or worse? Are they visiting the website more? What are they doing when they come back? You can see this information. You can use secondary dimensions. You can use segments to filter even more. Okay. Frequency. Okay. How many times are they coming back? Most of our visitors are coming only once, at least in the last 30 days. Maybe they come back after 30 days and then it's a different type of metric. What is the percentage? How many people are coming back once? How many people are coming back more than 10 times, etc.? Okay. Next one, technology. What browsers are people actually visiting us? Okay, Chrome, Safari. So if I know that, let's say 12% of my visitors are Safari, I need to test my website to make sure that Safari users are actually using my website correctly. So if I see, for example, a huge bounce rate, so maybe, for example, Opera. Okay, let's look at this, YA browser. Even though there's very little visits, why do I have such a high bounce rate? Do I have a technical error? Do I code my HTML incorrectly so people can't even see what's going on the website? Let's look at this data and actually find out how to improve your website. Why are Firefox people filling out the forms, but maybe Safari, there's more visitors, but they have no goal completion? Do I have a technical issue? Does it load slower on a certain browser? Did I do something that I can look at more? Okay, network. Okay, so which actually networks are people connecting from? Do I have a specific ISP or service provider that is just running very, very bad? Is there something technical that we can help or notice or contact? And do I need to code my website or make my website in a different way? Okay, next one, mobile, very important one. I want to be able to break down my visitors not on average, but by desktop visitors and mobile visitors and tablet. Okay, great. If I want to see more specific about the devices, I can click on here. Okay, so for example, iPhone is a huge mobile contributor, right? So as far as mobile, 42% are using iPhone. Are my numbers, are my bounce rates? Well, right, iPad I have very high bounce rates, etc. So I have to look at this data and figure out, am I testing on all of these? Do I support all of these devices? Do I have any issues? Do I have any plus sides? Are iPhone users very easy to check out or trigger or fill out a form? If so, let's continue to double down on those resources. Let's get more iPhone users, more mobile users. Let's make it more friendly, etc. Okay, so I'm going to skip through some of the other stuff right here. So that was audience. Next one is acquisition. How do people come from outside my website into my website? Okay. Okay. So just getting a sip of a drink. So, how do they come, right? So most of my visitors come, 82% of my visits come from Google Organic, right? They're searching for my products, my name, my business name, and they're converting. More of them are filling out my forms. Direct none means either Google Analytics did not recognize where they came from, or they either typed in the just domain directly, or they came from an email link or things like that. Okay, we already have some other videos to explain more about direct and none, but basically Google Analytics does not know where they come from. So the more you can tag a user, a visit, to a specific source medium, a specific source that they came from, the better data you'll have to actually use and follow and understand. Okay, great. Next one, channels. So source and medium will show you the specific. They came from Google. They came from Yahoo Taiwan. They came from mobile Facebook. They came from Bing. If you want to have a bigger group, you can use channels. So channels will take all of the Google, Yahoo, and Bing on organic, and it'll lump it into an organic. They'll take all the paid and put it into something called paid. They'll take all the social that they recognize, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc., and they'll lump it together. So these are more broad, what we call channels. Okay, referrals. In addition to organic and paid and social, you also have referrals. Basically, other websites that have a link that someone has clicked from another website to your website. Okay, so for example, inside.com.tw wrote an article about us and they link our business. So 55 visitors in the last 30 days actually clicked on an article from inside.com.tw into our site. So now we can know how well this article is helping our business, is engaging. How are these metrics different from some of the other stuff? Okay, great. AdWords. If you run Google campaigns and you plug in AdWords Sync to Analytics Sync, you'll be able to see more information. In this account, we don't have this data, but it looks very similar to the other ones. It'll show you your ad accounts, your ad keywords, your ad landing pages. You'll be able to see all the data for that. Okay. Next one, Search Console. If you plugged in the Google Webmaster Tools Google Search Console, you'll be able to see more information about, especially the keywords that people go on Google and type, the organic keywords, them going to google.com, typing in, let's say, Photoshop, okay? And then if you rank for that and you got visits, you'll be able to see how many times did people search for that keyword where your website showed in the result pages, and how many clicks did you get, and what is your percentage of click, and what is your average position, okay? So average position might be, if I go to Google, maybe let's say I'm searching for Photoshop school, okay? And the average position would be, if this is my website, I would be number 2, number 3, number 4, etc. Okay, this is great. So you can see also the devices and landing pages. The most popular one to really see is the queries. What are the search terms you're actually ranking for? What are the search terms you can improve? What are the search terms you have very low click-through rates, etc. Okay, social. Based on Google's specific social information, what are the visits that you're getting from these social? Okay, so how many visits are you getting from Facebook? How many page views? How many visits are coming from Dig or LinkedIn or etc.? Okay, campaigns. This is also related to your ad campaigns. If you have other campaigns, for example, Bing campaigns, you can also lump that in together here. Okay, next, behavior. This is more detail about your customer behavior. The pages that they're visiting, the site speed, what is happening, what are they doing on the website, okay? Let's click on the first one, which is pages. Let's look at all of the most popular pages, right? Sorted by this down arrow page view, or I can sort by entrances, or I can sort by bounce rate, etc. Okay. What are the most popular pages? 8% of the site's total traffic is on this content page. Why is that? What is it doing good? You can see we have a very low bounce rate. What is good about it? What is not? And you can see all of the page visits. So if a user visited your website, they can actually, of course, visit many pages per visit, okay? So you can actually see what are your most popular pages, what are your most engaged pages, what are the pages that people exit the most? Maybe they read and they don't care to continue. Is that important for you? What is the page value, right? Based on your goals and your e-commerce value, what are the pages, the content, the actual pages that give you the most direct value on conversions, okay? Another one which is very, very popular, landing pages. What is the most popular page, right? Sorted by sessions in this case, that people enter your website first. So in many cases, your home page is not going to be your most popular entry page. The first page that someone visits on your website. In this case, it's this page. So how do you understand how to make your website better based on this data? Okay. Same thing goes for exit pages. What are your most popular pages that people just immediately leave your website? Now, this doesn't have to be a negative thing. It can actually be a positive thing. Okay, perfect. So next one, site speed. How fast is your actual page? So Google is going to monitor how fast are your pages loading for your visitors. And of course, the faster it is, the better user experience you have. So you can see certain, why was my website in this July 9th loading 35 seconds? That's ridiculous. What happened? Did we have a technical issue? Is there a problem? Let's fix it out. So if I go here, July 9th, okay, July 9th to July 9th. Okay, let's figure out. Let's look at the page timings. Let's figure out, let's go back to overview. And let's look, okay, Safari loaded much faster, but Firefox was very bad. Maybe we had a technical issue that Firefox could not finish loading the page. Let's figure it out. Okay, again, we're at the same, just one day, July 9th. What is happening? So you can see Firefox had a huge problem in loading. So now you can talk with your tech team, your coders, figure it out, okay? Great. What are some speed suggestions based on Google PageSpeed Insights, their internal tool? What can they suggest to you or to your tech team or your HTML team in order to improve? Okay, so they'll give you all kinds of recommendations based on the specific page you click on. This is very, very valuable. You can also go to PageSpeed Insights tool and actually just click here and put in your URL and do that. So we have a video for that you can see on the Circuit YouTube channel, and you can see how to use that. But basically here, and I don't know why it's kind of stuck. Let's try again. You'll be able to see the suggestions. So typically there are things like optimize your images, use JavaScript in a certain way, minimize your first loading a page, etc. So now because it doesn't load, I'm just going to skip it for now. I wonder what happened. Okay, so user timings will also be able to give you some more and more detail. So let's go back. I'm going to click on the entire month of June. Okay, great. Here there's no data right now. Okay, site search. If you have an internal search engine, you're going to want to plug in your data so you can see how are users using your internal search engine. Right now we don't have it, but we've created a video to show you that data, and it's super valuable. It's very, very important to understand how are people using your internal search engine, not the Google one, not Yahoo, but if you have a search box. So for example, Amazon.com, right? There's a search box right here. This is their internal site search. So if you track that, you'll be able to see one of the videos we created how to set that up, and it's very valuable to understand your user data based on that. Events. If you want to set up additional events, smaller goals that are triggered, for example, we mentioned play of a video, or maybe using a tool on the website or sharing socially, you're going to have to add additional code, just a one-line code on to trigger an event. And events are very, very powerful, and they're very, very good. So in this case, we, for example, made an event. We made a custom code to figure out how are our users reading our pages. Are they actually reading our entire articles? Are they scrolling through 20% of our article? Are they reading just the headline and then leaving? Are they scrolling through 20%, 40%? Are they going to the entire bottom of our articles? You can see this data that only less than 2% of our visitors are actually reading the entire articles, right? But a lot of them actually are at least going through half of it, 40%, 50% and more. So that's kind of a good indicator on specifics. So if we want to see, for example, on a specific article, I can add another secondary dimension, and I'll call it page. And then I'll go here to advanced, and I'll change the page filter to, let's say, convenience store, right? I'll type in store. This is our most popular page. I'll click on apply. So now, using secondary dimensions, I can see on a specific article, what is the usage? 70% of that specific article, this specific page, are actually viewing. So most of the people are actually kind of scanning over, not really interested, and then moving on. And so that really helped us understand how to improve the content of that page. So this is kind of a nice way to show you how to use secondary dimensions and advanced filters. Perfect. So let's actually remove the filter. Next one. Okay, publisher we're going to skip. This is more if you have an author page, which is kind of more advanced. Next one, experiments. We're definitely going to create a video for this. This is a great tool for testing variations of your website in order to A/B test or test one version, a control version of your web page, of a specific web page, to another one. So if you want to improve your website, in addition to Google Analytics data, you can make two versions of a specific page, and Google Analytics will automatically send some people to the version A, the original, the control, right? And the other people to the new one. And it'll basically help you understand how users are engaging on the new version. And if the new version is converting better or giving a better user experience, you later on will want to switch it. So this is a great one for a video which we'll create. Very, very nice thing. There's other tools out there. For example, Optimizely is a good one. But Google Analytics is free, of course, and it's pretty easy to set up. Okay, great. So that's basically it for that. Let's actually show one more thing, in-page analytics. Based on your specific pages, Google Analytics will show you, let's click here, how are users actually, based on a specific page, what are they clicking on? Okay, and they'll basically, for every single link on the page, you'll be able to see percentage of clicks. How are people moving forward on the actual website? And I guess in this video today, we haven't had so much luck with some of the analytics data that's having errors. This is nothing with our end. This is just some kind of a Google data issue, but it's a nice tool which also in the future, hopefully we can create a video for. Okay, next one, which is the last one, conversions. If you've set up goals, you can view direct information about the goals, right? So let's go here. Let's select either all goals or a specific one, right? So I want to see what is in common to the people who have scrolled at least 60% of our articles. Okay, and then if I view full report, I can view the URLs. What are the pages that people are actually scrolling a lot? Okay, you can add secondary dimensions. I can also have it for all goals if I want to see multiple goals at once. Okay, reverse goal path. How do people trigger the goal? So they triggered the goal on this page, but before they actually read 60% of the page content, they were at this page before and this page before. Now in this case, this is a weird example, but let's change the goal right here. Let's do the contact form, for example. Someone filled out a contact form. They filled out the contact form because before that, they originally came from this page and then they moved on to the contact page. They originally entered the website, then they clicked on our Facebook ads page, then they went to a contact form, and then they triggered the goal by filling it out. Very, very nice way to figure out how are people getting to your desired goal. Okay. Next one is funnel visualization, a great, great one. We just created a video today about how to set it up with Shopify platform, and you can kind of at least get the idea of the funnel. So if you've set up a goal that you required a certain funnel, so in order to trigger the goal, you have to come from page A to page B to page C. You'll be able to see how people get a move from one to the other, how many people exit on the way, how many people don't finish the funnel, and how many people do. It's a very, very nice, simple tool. Okay, next one. If you've set up e-commerce data, you'll be able to see. This is for another video. Again, this website example doesn't have that data, but e-commerce data, once you set up and you include the extra e-commerce coding, you'll be able to see purchase information, purchase orders, most bestseller products, refunds, coupons used, and a lot of data. It's a very, very nice tool, but you do have quite some coding to add to that, especially the enhanced e-commerce. Okay, multi-channel funnels. This is definitely going to be another video, but Google Analytics and Google understands that in order to complete goals or actually use your website, a lot of visitors actually come more than once to your website. And sometimes they'll start by visiting you from maybe an email you sent them. And then a week later, they'll actually come from a Facebook ad you went. And then maybe the day later, they'll actually come from Google by typing your name. So this multi-channel funnels reports will help you understand how did visitors actually visit your website, okay? And for the most part, they'll actually help you understand how people are coming to your website and revisiting your website in relation to specific goals. So for example, if my goal is for me to get leads, for me to have people fill out my form, I want to know what is the most common path of someone figuring out who we are, coming to our website and filling out the form. So in this case, most of our forms got contributed by someone finding us on Google and then coming back later to our website by typing in our URL, and just because they already knew about us and then they actually came. So let's find a nicer example for this. Okay, in this case, we've actually had some people fill out the form by first finding us on Google and then actually coming to us through a social network. So maybe, for example, let's filter by source and medium to get a little bit more data rather than a channel. So for example, let's find out where this is. Okay, find a nice example that looks a little bit better. Okay, so in this example, someone came from Google, organic, right? And then they later on came to our website after the session expired. They came again. They just typed in, most likely they typed in our URL. And then later on, they actually clicked on from maybe one of our Facebook articles or something like that. So here, you'll be able to understand what are the top conversion funnels or conversion paths, excuse me. And you can see all of these other details right here. It's a very, very nice thing. Okay. Next one, assisted conversions. So conversions and goals and events all get triggered and associated to the last place that someone came from to trigger that event. So for example, if I came from Google, I'm a visitor, and I came to the website from Google, and I typed in the business name, and I went to the website, and then I left. A day later, I actually subscribed to the Facebook page, and I saw an article and it says, here's your coupon. I clicked on the Facebook link, and then I actually went to buy. So Facebook would actually get the actual conversion, right? Facebook would actually say, hey, I gave the sale. But as you understand, the visit before could have really contributed to branding and finding and subscribing to that Facebook fan page, etc. So what you can do about assisted conversions is really figure out how did a specific type actually result in a direct last click, in a direct sale, and how did it help in assisting with another direct sale. Okay, so in the example I gave, Google Organic would be the assisted conversion. It has assisted, and Facebook in that specific case would be the last click, the actual sale itself, or the goal, or etc. Okay, so that's it. This is a really quick overview, I hope quick, overview of Google Analytics. Please let me know if this makes sense. Please give me feedback so we can help make these videos better for you.